Hello, my sweet friends. It's Monique with Grace and Tattered Lace. I'm so excited to bring you this piece. I was inspired by a picture that I found on Pinterest, and I absolutely loved the larger version of a sign that I saw in a picture. So I set out to make my own. I stayed up late creating this cute little sheep, and then cut it out on the laser. So the first thing I did was take my sander and completely sand around the edges of it to take that harsh, crisp, just hard lines off of the edges of the wood. Then I used some Americana stain that I got, gel stain that I got over at Hobby Lobby. Once I applied it and dried it, I used a Clorox wipe to kind of go over it to take those the markings off of the stroke marks. And now you see I have made a vinyl cutout using my Cricut and some stencil vinyl that I adhered to some transfer tape. And now I'm just using a tool and making sure that it will stick to my wood while I pull that transfer tape off. We're going to paint right over the top of that. Again, this was a complete inspiration by a sign and a picture that I found on Pinterest. I have no idea who the original poster was or where the sign came from, but I loved it, and I'm making a very small version because, yes, this will be available in the shop for you guys. I can't ship anything that is too large, so I have to make it fit in the box. Anyway, now we're using some black paint. I'm using Caviar by Dixie Belle. Now, any black acrylic or chalk paint will work just as well. And you're just going to paint right over the top of the stencil, friends. I actually like how the stencil vinyl looks right there on that wood. I think it looks pretty cool. It's going to look so amazing when we pull that off. All right, you're just going to do one quick coat. Make sure that it's completely dry before you pull off the transfer pieces. I'm using a weeding tool that I did do the weeding for originally with the vinyl, and now we're just pulling it off. Now, don't worry about if you make any little poke marks or anything that with your weeding tool, because we are going to take a sanding block to this and sand it to give it that worn vintage look. Okay, now that we've got it all done, I'm going to take my, doesn't that look awesome? I love it, you guys. Anyway, sorry, squirrel moment. I'm going to take my little gator tool and go all the way around the edges just to bring out that stain that we put underneath. Make it look worn and old and vintage. I went all the way around the edges. Now we're going to go across the top. Now, make sure that when you're doing this that you try not to get too much on across the letters, because you'll smush, smear, blend, whatever word you want to use, your letters together, and you kind of lose the letters. So I almost did that on the yarn area, but I caught myself. Anyway, I took another Clorox wipe just to dust that sand off of it. And now I'm going to use some of these small wooden beads, and we're going to give it a little collar, per se. And I'm going to use that same gel stain, put it in a cup with some water, and we're going to swish it around and stain those little beads. Just kind of swish them around. We'll dump them out on some towels, and then we'll give them a quick little dry. Now be careful with this. I inadvertently blew them across my table. All right, now I didn't want them to be that brownish color, but I wanted them to kind of be a blend between the two. Looked like it was very old and worn. So I added some black to my brown gel, and we're going to toss those beads right back in here. And kind of, it's going to give it like a little half and half look. Not black, not brown, just kind of in between, like it's old and worn. All right, now same thing. I'm just going to take my dryer and dry those. Notice I flipped my paper towel up to kind of prevent them from flying across my table. Now I'm going to take some twine. I'll put a little tiny bit of hot glue in the end, roll it between my fingers once it cooled off a little bit to string that through the beads. It really helps with stringing it, not fighting with the twine. All right, and now we're just going to take that, attach it to our little sheep. Just going to tie it around the back. Don't mind the unfinished back, you guys. If I was going to sell this, I would definitely finish the back off. Okay, now one thing I did forget that I didn't realize until I was sitting here doing my voiceover was that putting the wax over the top of that to protect it. And if you wanted to add a little bit of dark wax to kind of grunge it up a little bit, you could absolutely do that. I just added a little bell that I got from Hobby Lobby in the craft section. There's a whole wall of bells with a nice little black ribbon, and I think it turned out fantastic. All right, guys, I think that this turned out absolutely amazing. It looks just like the picture, and the kit will be available at graceandtatterlace.com. Thanks for watching, friends.